I have actually observed that not very many people are very precise with them. So, gather around. I want to see everybody really, really close because I want you guys to see exactly what I'm doing here. Okay? So Steve and I are in guard. Whichever guard, whichever master, it doesn't really matter. Let's see a simple parry to the inside after a straight line attack to the inside. So, what do I want to do? If I want to provoke a straight line attack to the inside, invitation. Steve attacks, and I go in the same position that I would have gone for the invitation to the outside, or for the finding of the opponent's sword to the inside. So Steve has completed his lunge, and now in the tempo of his recovery, I riposte. Did you hear the opposition? I didn't even say, did you see the opposition? Did you hear the opposition? Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it in tempo. That's okay. Same thing with Fabris. Same exact thing. Nothing changes, okay? Nothing at all changes. To the outside is the same thing, except that you go to not to the position of the invitation that I taught you, but you actually turn your hand in seconda terza. Now the reason why I do it in seconda terza is that so that when you riposte, you still have a little bit of a mezza volta left into you to push the opponent's sword out of your presence. So let's see this. Invitation is the same. He attacks. So this is the same exact position as when I would be finding his sword. And then in the tempo of his recovery, with a nice opposition to the inside, to the outside, okay? Target is exactly the same. I go over his arm. Okay? Let's see this one again. First slow and then in tempo. Now in tempo. Right? Any questions about this? Now, I want to take a few minutes, and I'm not going to really call the drill. You guys do it in your own tempo. I'm going to have Maestro Curtis and Kevin Murakoshi, and Provost Murakoshi watch us so that I can give you as much personalized attention as I can. Any questions at all? Right? Defensive angle, lunge, defensive angle, and then look how I switch to the offensive angle. You see that? So, invitation, defensive angle, offensive angle. You see, my arm is not straight when I lunge. My arm is, this obtuse angle is the opposition. Better to the other side. Okay? So, defensive angle, see a nice straight line between my elbow and my sword point, and then that straight line breaks, and I'm performing a win. Okay? Let's see it. Glide, because I mean 3 hours is too little material. Ideally, there should be an 8-hour class, so that at least we can work with all 3 elements: the straight line attack or feint, the cavazione or feint by cavazione, and the glide or feint by glide. When can you do a glide? When you have found the opponent's sword. So like, here's a little, while you guys catch your breath, here's a little advice for the next time you got. You're fencing and you finally find the opponent's sword. He's not doing anything, so at this point do a glide. That's a glide. Or, since I know Steve is going to parry that, I'm going to do a feint by glide. He goes for the parry, and during his parry, he already has my sword, so this is the most difficult one, which is why I haven't taught it today, because ideally you shouldn't let him touch your sword. But since a glide by definition has contact, you do a cavazione in the tempo of that, and you finish. So this would be a feint by glide. So let's start with the absolute simplest one, but then you see where this is going, so when you take this home, you can expand on it. I'm selling you seeds and you can grow them into plants. So, what's the simplest one of all?
Straight line feint.
Okay, so Steve does me an invitation to the inside. I know that if I do this, he's going to parry it. Right? So now the burden of defense is on me. So I do a feint. With a voice as loud and clear as Nicole's, I'm telling you, Steve, okay, he's doing an invitation of his own volition. Now I'm saying, Steve, I want you to turn the angle and turn it completely in the opposite way. So do it. Okay. Without telling him that. What do I need to do to make him do that? He's done it. Okay, by the way, this was taught throughout the late 17th century, like it, the early 17th century don't. When I teach out of Bondi di Maso stance, I do it. It's, in the South, it's a good thing to have. It is something that if you learn it, you should be able to turn it on and off. Okay? So I'll do it now just to do it. Just to emphasize the feint, don't parry. Let me just show you the motion of the feint. So I have, don't even worry about this. I've put my pointing line. My weight is still on here, and I've extended my body forward. That is a credible threat. Now I want you to see how far forward my point goes. Look where it is in relation to his heel. Look at it after the extension. If he doesn't parry, now as soon as he moves to the parry, okay? So, can I do this from his, when he finds my sword? Yes, in a slightly different way. What do I have to add to this? Right, so, let's do this. Let's have a beginning Calvin ball, where the agent can either find your sword or give you an invitation from one side only. Let's just work to the inside. I mean, this is not a technical development class. This is a philosophical class. So you know that you can drill that from the other side. But let's start to the inside. So I'm not telling Steve do one or the other. He can do whatever he wants. Okay? What do I do? No. Feint by cavazione. Okay? What am I designed to provoke? An outside parry, and then I do an additional cavazione and I finish. So the feint by cavazione has how many cavaziones? Two at the very least. Rapier doesn't really talk about double feints, but Gigante says as many times as he tries a parry, you do a cavazione. So they probably did that too. So let me show you this in tempo. Okay? Same exact thing to the outside, but we're not going to have time to go into it. So let's have this slimy little Calvin ball, where you only do either the agent either does an invitation or finds the opponent's sword. In ubbidienza, feint or feint by cavazione, depending on the type of opening that you're presented with. Simple parry and riposte. So here's what I want to see. Actually, no, let's not do the simple parry and riposte. Either option is option 1 or option 2. That's all I want you to do for now. But the opponent does not have unless you ask him to do a few more. Now we have 10 more minutes, which means that it's time for Calvin ball. Okay? That's right, bro. Okay, so let's come up with a really good one, Steve. What do you say? All right. So like now we're going to build the antagonistic drill from hell. Okay, so no hand parries. In this one, no hand parries, but you could work the hand parries into it. Okay, so since we're tired and we've worked for 3 hours, actually you guys worked for 3 hours. Let's not do it with mobility, but you can definitely do this with mobility. Okay, so you start from the inside or the outside. Okay, let's make this really simple. Start to the inside always. Okay? Start to the inside. You can either find the opponent's sword or perform an invitation. Okay? The opponent has to perform a feint. Whatever you do, the opponent has to perform a feint. Now,